We're just practicing using the different enumerable methods. So enumerable methods are things that allow you to enumerate over items in a list. So if we look at Ruby each, you can also see that there's a method called select. And select works very similarly to each. So next week we're going to actually build a bunch of these ourselves. So basically all of these methods are similar. They all basically call each internally. They iterate over all the elements in the array, but they do something slightly different, right? So if I just like iterate and I say like fruit list each do, right, I'm going to get every element in the list. It's going to hand it to me, and I can put element, and then the return value of the method call is always the array itself. All of the other methods will do something slightly differently and return something slightly differently. So for example, if I were to say, okay, like answer is equal to the return value of this whole method, I'm always going to get just the array itself, the fruit list. If I change it to collect, collect is just like each, except it's going to only put whatever you executed in the block into answer. So if I put like element plus hello, I'm going to end up with a fruit list that is each individual thing concatenated with hello, and that will return a new array with all of those elements into here. So we can look at what select does and what select returns, which is the important thing. So it says returns a new array containing all the elements of array for which the given block returns a true value. So all it's doing is basically calling each. And then basically what it does is it says, okay, we have this container, right? I have this new array, and I'm going to test if each of these things meets some condition. And if it does, I'm going to put it in the container. So here's my condition, right? So in this case, I'm saying if element equals apple, right? If it does, I'm going to put it in this container and return it. So that's all select is doing, is it's just like condensing this more complicated use of each into something that's like a little bit more expressive. So if I say fruit list select, all I'm giving it in here is the condition. And then the return value of this entire statement, I could save it into a variable, new list, or the reality is the method call itself, the method call to select, will return that thing, and since that's the last thing evaluated in my method, the return value of the entire method, apple picker with select, will be the return value of select, which will just be the array of apples. So let me run that. Cool. So I got select. So let me try collect. You want to return an array that just the apples, just like the challenge above. Okay, so I'm going to take the fruit list, right, and we said collect is just going to shove whatever I execute into the block into a new array. So I can do something like this. It's actually, I think, is a silly exercise. I don't think this makes any sense. But here's what I can do. I can say if element equals apple, then apple. Oops. And I guess this is just to sort of get across the point that it will, whatever the last thing executed in the block is, it will put it into collect. It will put it into the array, like it will collect it into the array. So basically what I'm saying is like if element equals apple, then just apple. And so apple will be the thing that Ruby's like, oh, that's the last thing evaluated in the block. That's the thing you want to put into collect. So I think what we should end up is with an array that has some apples and some nils, because some of the block just won't do anything if element doesn't equal apple. Let me put Brian here for a second just to show you. Thank you. So, oh, I should save this. So the return value of collect, right, is that new array. So what's in the new array is apple, right, when it matches, nil when it doesn't match is an apple. So like collect's not really a great thing to like accomplish this task because it will always put something in the array. It's either like some transformation that you've done or whatever you tell the block to return, which in this case I'm just saying just apple, or it will put nil in, which is not great. So you can chain on something that will remove the nils. So in Ruby we have a method called compact, which will automatically remove any nils. This is like this syntax always looks weird to me when I chain on a method call to an end. But basically what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, run this method call collect, take this block, whatever executes, whatever the block returns, put that into an array. This whole statement is going to return a new array with whatever we executed in the block put in there. And then I can call another method on that array and say, please remove all the nils for me. And then the last thing executed will be the array returned by compact, which should have no nils in it. So that does that one. So kind of awkward. I'm not sure if it's that instructive, other than to make the point of like, this is exactly how collect works, because it's not exactly how we normally use it, but it's like more like the technical definition of it. If you're forced to use it, how could you make it work? Yeah.
I did do like dot collect do x apple if x equals apple. You don't need an end statement on that if.
Oh, you're just saying you wrote it like with the shorthand. Yeah.
Apple if
I like that better.
apple if x equals apple. How is that if working?
Yeah, so Ruby allows you to put if statements at the end, and then you don't need an end.
Is that like in the? Could you write that as one line? I get to element. What would that look like?
Sorry, I don't think I'm understanding.
Bracket after do element.
Oh yeah, could you make this all one line? Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So if we use this syntax, I think is what you're asking.
Like I had an end on that if, but it was like
Yeah, the compact was awkward.
Yeah, so you can say collect, right, is the method call. We pass a block to collect. We say return apple if the element is equal to apple. We don't need to end the if when we use it at the end of a line. Then we end the block, and then the whole return of this method call is going to be a new array with stuff in it, right? And then we're going to call compact on that whole array. So if you want to do it in one line like this, also works. Is that good for this one? Cool. Okay. What are we doing next? Okay, holiday suppliers. You have a bunch of decorations for various holidays organized by season. Write a method that returns the second supply for the 4th of July. All right, so let's go through these. So we have the holiday hash, the second supply for the 4th of July. Second element in the 4th of July array. So I think what we're doing in here is we're just practicing sort of keying into a nested hash. So we're saying holiday hash, right? Here's the top level keys, winter, summer, fall, spring. So I know 4th of July is in summer. So Ruby's going to evaluate this from left to right. So it's going to say the holiday hash, I know what that is. Okay, that's a hash. I can call this index key method on it. This whole thing is going to evaluate to this hash, right? And then I can chain on another call because that's a hash, and I can say, okay, 4th of July. That whole thing is going to be evaluated and replaced with just this array. And then it says return the second element. So the second element is at index 1, because arrays start their indices at 0. So hopefully that should work. And that one passed as well.
Yeah, that works.
Add a supply to winter holidays. Iterates through winter holidays, adds a supply to each one. So the same hash, we have some supply that they're going to pass in. Add the second argument of supply to both the Christmas and New Year's arrays. All right, so again, we have to key in to the hash. We have the holiday hash. We're going to go into, so we have Christmas and New Year's are both keys inside winter. Right, so we have to go into winter, then we have to go into Christmas. Again, Ruby's going to evaluate this from left to right, and it's going to say this whole thing is going to return me this array. So I can use array methods now, and I can say, please shovel in the supply. And then I can just do it again, and I can say not Christmas, but New Year's. Do that. Probably a better way to do this is use some sort of iteration. So I can say, holiday hash at winter is going to give me this whole thing, and I can probably just tell it to go through each pair of things and do that. So I could say holiday hash at winter. I could say each pair. You're going to give me what, the holiday and the supplies. And so I could say take the supplies array and shovel in the supply both times. I think if I comment these out, that should work. Does that make sense? All right. What's up? Okay, so when I iterate here, I'm going to call each pair. Each pair is going to yield me the key and the value for the hash. So I'd say holiday hash at the key of winter. So holiday hash at the key of winter is going to give me the value for that key, which is this whole hash. So if I bring this whole hash down here, leave it in the comments, I can see that each pair, the first time, the pair I'll get is Christmas and this array. The second time will be New Year's and this array. So what I'm doing is I get to name my block variables. So similar to a method, methods take arguments, and I get to name the arguments in a method. So I can tell it, hey, when you hand me this thing, I want you to call it something, right? So I can say, I'm going to call this a holiday. And then my supplies are going to be the values. So it's always going to hand me a key, and it's always going to hand me a value, and I can tell it what to call those things. And since these things I'm saying are like kind of like supplies for the holiday, I'm going to name them supplies so that when I'm in here, I can refer to these things by those names and alter them if I want. So supplies is a variable, a block variable that will take on this value the first time through the iteration, and this value the second time through the iteration. All right. Add supply to Memorial Day. Again, holiday hash is the same. Add the second argument to the Memorial Day array. Okay, where is the Memorial Day array? It is under the key of spring, under the key of Memorial Day. So I have to sort of make my way down. I have the holiday hash. I said the key of spring right? We're going to evaluate it left to right, and we're going to say that whole thing is going to return me a new hash. That hash is going to have a key of Memorial Day. That whole thing will return me an array, right? It's going to return me this array, and I want to add this supply to that Memorial Day array. So now I can say put the supply in the array because this whole thing will just evaluate to that array deeply nested in there. That passes. Add new holiday with supplies. So doesn't really say what to do. Write a method that adds a new holiday and its associated supplies to any season. Oh, okay. So I think what we're saying is like, we want to like pass in new supplies into these holidays. So whatever key they give us, we should be able to generically refer and get all the way into this nested array and add those supplies. So we can assume that when this method gets called, it will do something like the season will be something like winter, right? The holiday name will be something like Christmas. And then the supply array, I don't really care what it is. It's some generic array. So I should be able to say, okay, if I take the holiday hash and I have this generic season, right, that'll get me into the right top level key, and then I'll have some generic holiday name, and that whole thing, right, will have taken me from the holiday hash to the generic season to the generic holiday, which should give me the array of things for that holiday. And then now I'm working with an array, and I can just shovel in the supply array. Although if the supply array is actually an array, maybe we want to. So I can say take whatever array I have and just add in this new array rather than shoveling it in, because if I shovel it in, I'll get a nested array, right? So if I say array equals, and then I say array, let me shovel in this new supply array, which is like, I'll get a nested array, which is not what I want. Whereas if I say new array, right, is new array plus some other array, Ruby will just put them together. So let's see if this works. So now I have this new holiday hash. It's been updated, and I think we need to return the holiday hash, right? Because the last thing evaluated was just the addition, which would only return that new array. What we want, I think, is remember to return the updated hash. So now if I return that, hopefully that will work. Looks like it did not work. Undefined method plus for nil class. So they call holiday supplies fall, Columbus Day supplies. Oh, okay. So they're giving me, I think, new stuff. They're giving me a new holiday, not an existing holiday. So in that case, I'm not adding. I am just setting it equal to the new supply array. That is what they meant. Does that make sense?
It's not working. Yeah, I know. Holiday hash, season, holiday name.
All right. So then all winter holiday supplies. Return an array of all the supplies that are used in the winter season.
Blake,
Yeah.
sorry. How would we do that if we didn't know the name of the holiday? Like, can we do that without hard coding the name?
Well, we didn't hard code the name of the holiday. We hard coded the generic idea that somebody would pass
Oh,
me.
I'm sorry. I'm reading the wrong one.
Cool.
My bad.
But it's only because of the top, the 630 is one of the parameters, right? So we're just reusing that name, that general parameter name.
Yep.
So if it were something else, we just change the variable.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what area? I would have never been able to do it. What was he doing? Like,
Yeah.
every time, like, it's really frustrating.
Oh, maybe I'm getting that error too. No. I have 3 failures. Oh, maybe you have slightly different code than I do. I'm using the canonical repo. Oh, is this a failure test? Change the test.
You guys wouldn't have like changed it since I forked this. Right? I forked this maybe earlier in the week. This is like the recent.
I wouldn't think so. Which one were we just working on? Add new holiday with supplies. Columbus Day. Yeah, this is. I have a different version. Which one am I using? Yeah, I'm using the canonical repo.
I see you wrong with spec. Look at Columbus Day on there.
Maybe somebody. I wouldn't worry about it. I think probably the one that I'm using has been fixed maybe since you guys forked. I'll just push out the fix.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So I think that one's screwed up on the copy that you guys have, and I'm using like the probably a fixed repo. Let's see when the last commit was. Yeah. Somebody fixed the spec 2 days ago. Yeah, I'll push out the fix that somebody put in.
Right, he just fixed it, but yeah, I know.
All right, I'm gonna keep moving.
Oh, so that's why I have a problem.
And so someone had a problem with that. That was you. Okay, now we know why.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All winter holiday supplies. Return an array of all the supplies that are used in the winter season. So basically, I have to like iterate through these. So I'm gonna key in the winter. I'm gonna grab the stuff here and here, add them together, and then return that. So I'm going to say holiday hash, key of winter. I'm going to iterate over each pair of those things. That's going to give me the holiday and the supplies. And I need some kind of container to hold the new stuff. So I'm going to add the new stuff to my supplies. So Sylvia, supplies in this case refers to the exact same thing it did before. If we look up here, we can see, okay, so I said the key of winter is going to give us this whole hash. And then we're going to say each pair. So first we're going to get Christmas as the holiday and this array, and I'm going to call this supplies, and I'm going to call this holiday. I can call it whatever I want because I can name those variables. It's just like a semantic name. So the first time we go through, supplies should be this. The second time we go through, supplies should be that. So hopefully, as we iterate through, I have this array that holds everything. I iterate through, and I say, okay, let me just add these two things together. I actually need plus equals. Do I? No, just need plus. So I'm going to say, take this container, add supplies to it, then go around again, take this container, add more supplies to it, and hopefully...
But will that not work for Christmas?
Why won't it work for
Oh,
Christmas?
Because the supplies is the key that's a array.
So I'm saying I have this container, it's an empty array. So I say add supplies plus the empty array should give me a new array.
Okay.
Or maybe I do need plus equals. I'm not sure if that modifies. Yeah, I probably need plus equals. So I'm saying the container, I'm changing it to be equal to itself plus the supplies. And then again, I change it, and then at the end, I should be able to return the container. Let's see if that works. That looks like it worked. All supplies in holidays. Iterate through holiday hash and print items such that your readout resembles. I don't really know what this means. I'm going to look at the spec.
It's easy to read from Learn.
What's that?
The output is I don't know for you, but it was easy for me to read from Learn. No, like.
Oh, the website. Yeah, I don't know what this means. Like, is this just one string? So it looks like, yeah, they want like a string like this. So can I... So, alright, so we say output each line. Okay, so they want us to call puts, it looks like, with line. So there's a bunch of lines. They want us to call puts a bunch of times with the various lines. Okay, I think I get this. So I'm going to iterate through holiday hash. Say each pair. So each pair will give me holidays. And no, it will give me seasons, holidays, and they want me to start at seasons. Okay, so I need to puts seasons, I'll say season. Then I need to iterate again to go into holidays. So I'm going to say holidays. what is holidays? Season holidays. Okay. Holidays is a hash. So we'll take each pair of these and say holiday and supplies. So I want to print the holiday. And then, oh, they want me to print it in like a big string. So I'll use string interpolation. So supplies is going to be an array. They want to have a literal colon. This should be interpolated. So my holiday is going to be a variable. Right? I'm going to have a literal colon. I'm going to have a space. And then I'm going to take the supplies array, and I need to join it together with a comma and a space.
The holiday and season were symbols.
Thank you.
No, season, not supplies.
Oh.
Supplies were.
All right, let's see if this works. Nope. Interesting. Oh, the season also wants a colon, and it should be capitalized. I guess, oh, they want like 2 spaces at the beginning of the,
Is it capitalized here also?
and it has to be capitalized. Do these need to be capitalized too? Are they uncapitalized? No, those are good. Still no. Did I? Thank you. Still no.
Oh, spaces.
This is for the holiday. I feel like I have spaces.
Because you put the space in the that and not outside the thing.
Well, outside the.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yep. I hate programming.
But
What?
Interesting.
You have to use G-Cell?
Oh. I see.
Wow. Yeah. So like I like 2s, 2-string, G-sub, dot split, then dot each.
So holiday.
Wouldn't you want to do
Is
the
that gonna work?
G-sub after the string? Or can you, because you would have an empty space in the symbol, which would probably make an error.
But I want to do the G sub after the string.
Yeah, because when it turns into a string, then you can have the space in the middle of the string. I mean, I haven't tried it, but like if you do it on the symbol, wouldn't it leave a space in the middle of the symbol?
No, I'm telling it to replace. Oh, I understand what you're saying. I don't know. Let's see what happens. So if I have a symbol like Blake, hello.
So next step, you might do that, so just start fucking up the code on purpose.
So the question is, what happens here, right? You are right. Oh, you can't even G sub on a symbol.
Yeah, you have to do it before it's a symbol.
IRB just told me I couldn't.
It's
It's not capitalized. Why is it not
because
capitalizing?
you capitalize the whole string instead of the individual words. So
So that means you have to like split it.
yeah, exactly.
That's a pain.
The thing is that after you split it, then it's a
It's an array.
you use, yeah, it's an array, and you can't use capitalize on the array. So you have to iterate.
Why can't I?
So would you have to iterate to every word in the array? Iterate to every word in the array?
So once it's so far he has, it's a string and
Yeah.
then it has a space in the middle instead of the underscore. But now if you apply capitalize to the string, it'll only capitalize the first word of the string. So in the next step.
Oh, is that how it works?
Is some all
Why does that capitalize?
yeah, exactly.
Capitalize like
Yeah.
I thought it would capitalize this everything. I wonder how it actually works. So capitalize says turns a copy of where'd it go? Turns a copy of string with the first character converted to uppercase and the remainder to lowercase. Oh, I thought I would do a whole sentence. Okay, so
There should be a method for that. And now we should be
okay, so I should be able to call capitalize here, right? And then on the supplies, I should be able to collect. Call capitalize on each supply. Capitalize.
the supply is already capitalized.
Is it? Oh, okay. Cool.
The issue is trying to get the years part of New Year's capitalized.
Oh, right. You're saying this will only capitalize new, not years. So what was your solution?
So I did I did it to a string, then I gsub, then I split it, and then I called .each, and then I iterated over the split string array to capitalize each word in it, which is the new one years. So it'll capitalize both of them, and then it'll join it back afterwards.
This is so obnoxious. Okay, so I'll take the holiday, I'll convert it to a string, I'll gsub out the underscore, replace it with a space, I'll split it on all spaces. That gives me an array of words. Then I should be able to collect the array of words. So we'll say those are words. Each one is a word. Call capitalize on each word. And then I will join them back together with a space. That will give me, say, new holiday. And hopefully I can just put new holiday in here. Hopefully we should be there.
Did you need to do it with the split with the space? What does that mean?
Yeah, so if you don't split on a space, it's gonna take, so like if I say split this just like that, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. No, I didn't put any argument for split.
I think by default it'll give me every letter. No,
Oh,
I did not know that. Awesome.
I didn't use the parentheses either.
So I guess by default, okay, so what I'm used to is I'm thinking of that as the default, and that is not a default. That's giving it an argument, but it's an empty space. You're saying default argument of split, it will just assume you're looking for a space and do what I want. That's great.
Oh, wow. So
Much
does
cleaner.
it do the same thing if you add the argument with the space?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
It's just if you were to look at how that method signature is actually written, I guarantee you it's not written in Ruby, it's written in C, but assuming it was written in Ruby, right, it'd be like arg1 equals,
Oh,
right, use a default argument.
yeah.
Okay, wow, that was a lot more difficult than I
Scroll
had.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah, you actually, like, I'm trying to see how you managed to fit it all into a couple lines, because, like, I used a lot more lines.
I did one line blocks.
Oh, you did the brackets instead of the curly brackets.
Yeah. So first convert it to a string, G sub out the the underscores with spaces, split it into its constituent pieces, the two words, right? Collect those two words and transform them by capitalizing both of them, then chaining on a join. I'll take the array pieces back together, put them back together with a space, and then just plug that whole thing into.
Okay.
I'm still getting an error.
Here, I'll throw on Slack my code.
I got you up to the Putz New Holiday Supplies .join. How did you get it to not have a comma at the end, but to have a comma in between them?
Join.
So, wouldn't that remove all the commas?
Well, join's going to take an array, right? It's going to take an array like this,
Yeah.
and it's going to put these two things together. So it's going to say fireworks and barbecue. And then it's going to say, how do you want to put these two things together? And what I said is, what I would like you to do is put in a comma and then a space.
Nice. That would have saved me like 4 lines of code.
And that only works just because I know it will only ever be two things. If it was like more than that, it might not work.
The error message I'm getting is expected winter colon in quotes, and it got winter without a colon. Which is I have the exact same.
It's possible.
Exact same code.
Unless your guys meant it off on
No, I'm not getting that error.
Oh, I think up here I have something silly, but I think I have a colon right at the end.
But I also didn't interpolate. That's why my string was a little longer. I just did the plus and then semicolon.
And since I didn't know the join trick for the commas, I did supplies with a range up to just before the last supply, and then I added with plus how you like was it concatenate the strings,
Mm-hmm.
and then I added the last supply using the supplies till last.
Yeah, join is super useful for stuff like that. I'll throw this in just. So if anybody has any weirdness. All right, all holidays with barbecue. Return an array of holiday names as symbols where supply lists include the string barbecue. I don't think I understand. Oh, got it. Okay, so basically I'm searching through for all of the holidays where in their array of supplies it includes barbecue. So similarly, like what I was doing earlier, right? I need to like get my iteration like into this hash here, right? Like this is the thing. These are the two things I need to be looking at. I need to be able to refer to this array and find out if barbecue is in this array. So I'm just going to start iterating until I get down where I need to be. So I'll say each pair, right, and that's going to give me a season and holidays. And I have holidays, each pair gives me a holiday and supplies. And now I'm deep enough that I should be able to do what I want. So what I want to do is I want to ask supplies, the array, if they include barbecue. If they do, then I want to shovel them into holiday. Oops. So if this is a weird way of I'm doing this like backwards. Sorry. All right, so I need some array to hold all the stuff that like matches my criteria, and I'm gonna say, hey, throw in the holiday into the container if its supplies include barbecue. Let me run that. Oh, and then I have to return my container at the end. All right, so again, I need to like iterate down until I get to the like stuff in question, right? I need to get to these hashes. All right, so I'm going to iterate until I get deep enough that I can refer to them with block variables. So I can say I have a holiday and I have that list of supplies. As I iterate through each one, the question I have to ask is, do the supplies arrays for these holidays include the string barbecue? And I have this nice way of writing a conditional in Ruby that reads like English, where I can just say, put the holiday into the container if it does include that thing. Another way to write this is using select. So I want to express this idea that I want to like grab the stuff that matches some criteria, right? And all I got to do is give it the criteria. And this whole thing will return an array of stuff that matches that criteria. Although, what will it put in? Oh, it returns a hash of entries for which the block returns true. It's not really what I want. So that'll give me a hash of what, like, let's see what it returns.
It'll give you a hash that has the season. Seasons is the key, and then
The
whatever.
the array is the value.
Or no, the another hash has the value.
Oops. Got it. So yeah, it just gives me back the item itself. Okay, that's not really what I want. Thought I could be cute. So I'll go back to being more explicit. right? And I'm gonna say I'm gonna iterate, right? I'm gonna get seasons and holidays. I'm gonna iterate through those holidays. They're gonna give me individual holidays and their supplies, right? And I'm just gonna say if this thing matches, if it has this thing inside, I'm gonna throw it into the container, and then I'm gonna return the container at the end.
When you
Those
write
just-
an if statement, it's not necessary to have an end on it.
Yeah, so Ruby has that like nice way of trying to make it like a little bit more English-like. So if you put it at the end of a statement, you don't need an end, so that it reads very much like English. Put this thing into the container if the supplies include a barbecue. If we did it like this, we'd need an end. Questions, comments, concerns? All right.
If we